Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, my colleague, Russell Berger, both attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today we are talking about employment agreements. So often we think about this when you're hiring an employee or you're starting your business, kind of at the beginning of the relationship. Folks might have a standard agreement that they have someone sign or negotiate certain terms. But there are circumstances where, as the relationship continues, or maybe you didn't think about it in the beginning and now you talk to a lawyer and you say, actually, you should have one for these reasons. You might want to get one in place with your employees during the term of their employment. So what are some things to consider, Russell, when approaching it that way, first at the beginning, or if they need to make a change also?
Yeah, particularly with at-will employment, like this isn't static. It can evolve and things can change. I would know that this is a state-specific issue. So, for example, in Maryland, if you have a contract and you can change its terms and continued employment is sufficient consideration to support that change. In other jurisdictions, depending on the changes that you're making, that's not necessarily the rule, and you might have to provide some incentive to get there. But big picture in any event is circumstances change, right? You might find yourself with new opportunities or new markets or workers in new positions with access to new information they weren't in before. And I think all those things necessitate that as an employer, you're open to evolving and updating what you require of your employees.
Yeah, there's the practical and the legal that happens a lot also, right? Where there's a situation where you might say, hey, employee, I want you to sign a contract or I need you to sign this and I'm adding these clauses. There might be a practical implication, even if you can edit the agreement or require them to sign it as a condition of continued employment without additional money or bonuses or anything like that. There is a practical piece because sometimes you might be doing it in a way that you want there to be happiness on both sides with the situation. And so maybe there will be a reason to want to give someone a little bit of additional incentive to sign. But in some situations too, you have to be prepared that if someone refuses to sign, what is your plan of action? Especially if you're having a lot of employees sign at the same time. So if you are rolling out employment agreements to 15, 20, 30, whatever the number is, because you don't have them in place, and this is a new practice of yours, and you want to put in new confidential information clauses or whatever it might be, then you might have a few that refuse to sign it. And what are you going to do? You don't have a plan for that.
Right. Yeah. Because in a state like Maryland, if you change or you add restrictive covenants in and an employee refuses to sign off on that, then you would certainly be within your rights to terminate that employee. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that. And it's not just a simple analysis of you have to sign this. There's operational needs and continuity and employee engagement issues and culture and all these other factors that should be considered. But you would certainly have that right. So again, to your point too, Sarah, sometimes things change, particularly when someone gets a promotion or gets a new opportunity. It could be a salesperson that takes on a larger scope of sales territory. Those are good times to ask yourself the question, should I change anything here? Do I need to enhance the protections that I have as it pertains to this employee?
Yeah, definitely things to consider in timing. And it's a lot of practical and legal consequences to these things. So you just want to be thoughtful. You can definitely consider doing it. And there are good reasons often. But just like our advice always, you need to be thoughtful and consider all the angles.
Well, to go a step further, if you promote someone into a manager type position and now they have a team working for them, have you considered whether they have an employee non-solicit provision? Because you don't want them to go and take the team you built around them with them. So there's a lot of nuance and versions of this. I think the biggest takeaway is don't just set it and forget it. Continue to monitor and ask yourself these questions as an employee's path through your company evolves.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Russell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.